It's a pleasant good morning to another edition of the program, the Star Good Morning Show here on Star Television, broadcasting live from our media on Center 3 Mama Street, Brookfields in Freetown. My name is Abdul Rahman Kamara. Top stories in the program. Nigerians in Diaspora Organization has honored their newly inaugurated Executive Council at an impressive dinner held on Saturday, July 6, 2019 at the Buntumani Hall in Freetown. As a way to flag awareness on the high index of inequality, Oxfam, in partnership with Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, have joined the world over to launch the commitment to reducing inequality index. The launch was done at the Initiative for Good Governance Conference Hall in Aberdeen, Freetown. My guest in the studio is Mohammed Lamanaba, a member of the Strategic Communication Unit, Ministry of Information and Communication. He's here with me this morning to talk on a variety of issues bordering around good governance. Good morning and welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure having me. Good morning to you, everyone.
Remember, the Star Good Morning Show is proudly sponsored by Local Commercial Bank.
SIM Couple allow old and young to make deposit and withdraw cash from their account at any time and anywhere. With Local Commercial Bank SIM Couple, you can send and receive money at any place and any time. Local Commercial Bank don't make life better for we all.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Let me come over to my guest, Mohammed Lamanaba. Mohammed, over the last couple of days, we've seen where so many developments bordering around governance issues. First off, we saw the arrival of 50 buses for the free quality education. And as of yesterday, a press release making rounds with the confirmation and the sacking of one of the biggest gun at the Sierra Leone People's Party, that is Dr. Prince Alex Harding. It has created a kind of public dissentment in the views of many other people. Let's begin to talk a little bit about the arrival of the free quality education.
Thank you very much, Abdurrahman. As you rightly mentioned, 50 buses were actually doled out to the public. Of course, that came about when the president, promised in the launching of the free quality education, promised, the pupils that in as much as his government is so committed to ensure that he provides free quality education for school-going pupils in county, it is also necessary that he provide, what we refer to as the accessibility, because you and I know pupils across the county take, 2-3 kilometers from their houses to their respective schools across the county, and of course that has been, a serious challenge regarding the accessibility of schools, especially, the issue that got to do with public transport. So the president thought it fit that yes, indeed, in as much we've provided the free quality education, it is also but fitting for us as a government to actually ensure that we provide accessibility by procuring 50 buses. Of course, we have all seen the buses. They were paraded along some main streets.
The fulfillment of these promises on the free quality education seem to be coming in piecemeal.
Yeah, sure. Of course, the president never promised, initially that it's going to be a one-go thing. You understand? He did say that it's going to be by, on phases. So we've seen we are 4 months into him being elected as president. In as much as there were several hue and cry doubts, challenges, or skepticisms about us actually rolling out the free education, free quality education. But 4 months just after he was elected, he mustered the courage because of his determination to ensure that that particular aspect of his campaign manifesto is fulfilled. You understand? So we launched it in August 2018, and of course we've all seen, despite the fact that there are still challenges, but we are moving towards addressing these challenges to ensure that every child in this country has access, to school in county, devoid of your location, your family background, where you are from, and the likes. You understand? So that has always been the dream of the president. So he is gradually working towards that particular direction. Now, if you look at the specifications of the buses, you will actually, come to the realization that indeed these are especially made and customized buses specifically for school-going pupils. On that day, the president did say that he is encouraging the transport ministry, to develop a policy, a fleet management policy. That is, he categorized them into four. One, a policy that will actually regulate the drivers, by mileage, and of course the routes that they'll be using. A policy also that will also provide technical support. The company that where they bought the buses are sending in their technicians to come and train our locals here to ensure that at the end of the day, no matter what went wrong with the buses, they are able to actually address it. And of course also it's going to be done by our own Sierra Leone brothers.
Okay.
And of course also in terms of developing a system, a policy whereby, because it's a cost recovery, the pupils are going to pay a minimal amount. If let's say if a public transport is 1,500, probably the government will say, okay, you pay 1,000 or less than that, as the case may be, though they are yet to determine what each pupil will have to pay.
What is really free about this free quality?
No, I'm coming. Assuming the buses were not there, you understand, and students are paying, they are still paying. So this is specifically designed, it's not the public transport, you understand, it's specifically designed for the pupils. Let's say, okay, because of your challenge in
well, it's really defeats the purpose of the intention of a government.
No, it did not.
We're talking primarily about free quality education.
Did not. The reason being, you understand, the school fee subsidies are being paid by governments across the county, you understand. School materials are also provided by the government, you understand. Then of course we are paying teachers, we are helping in the area of infrastructure, in other areas. So all these things are free. So the area of transportation, devoid of the fact that we have provided buses, before now students were still paying. So if we say we are going to bring buses that specifically be there to take students from different destinations to their schools and homes, at a very minimal rate, I think that is also complementing and of course showing exhibiting commitment in ensuring that the free quality education is accessible. Because you and I know students do stand in different points across the county for long hours for them to have transport to go home or to come to school.
That could be seen in the views of many people as a kind of unfulfilled proclamation. As we speak, a couple of weeks back, a philanthropist gave out buses for which students are using now. They are in service. They don't pay a dime for it. One Mr. Fona, right? So we are talking of government buses. Already the proclamation is saying a free quality education. And how now you are saying they have to pay a little.
Sure.
Good. So the question is, how did that address the in-pocket expenditure of parents
Fine.
for the children?
Now, for Mr. Fona, like you earlier pointed out, I have not seen the buses.
I have seen them.
Okay, fine. It's a laudable venture. It's a good gesture. We hope many Sierra Leoneans will actually muster such courage to actually come on board to complement the government effort in these areas, understand. But I want to believe also that those buses are also not only limited for students, you understand, they are open up to the public. So if you take that into consideration, congestion, and of course, it will not be specifically for students, but these are buses. First of all, the issue of repairs, the issue of payment of drivers, the issue of buying fuel for these vehicles. We believe as a government, providing them and of course encouraging students to be paying a minimal amount. I want to believe that is the best this government can do at this particular time to ensure that these particular buses are specifically for school-going people. So, no other person is allowed to enter these particular buses, you understand? And of course, that is also the last item the president spoke about in relation to developing policies that will guide the conduct of these buses. Okay. One that has to do with stringent management policies, wherein if drivers are caught, taking in passengers that are not people, you understand, or using the buses for the wrong purposes, you understand, those drivers should be dealt with immediately. So all of these policies are geared towards, ensuring that the buses are well managed, and of course we.
So is it the road transport that's That is entrusted responsibility.
The management of these buses, first of all, you cannot be in Freetown and manage, for instance, buses at Kubola or Kabala, for instance, or Konadugu district, for instance. So they have to be localized. You understand? So local councils, the Ministry of Transport, SLRSA, and of course local councils have to sit down. They will have to form a fleet management committee, which this president spoke about. And of course also these committees will now develop the necessary policies that will govern the conduct of these particular buses across the county. But largely local councils across the county will be charged with the responsibility at their own locality to actually manage these buses.
Mohammed, stay with me in the studio. In the midst of all of these developments, you're still, as a way to flag the awareness of the high index of inequality, Oxfam, in partnership with Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, have joined world over to launch the commitment to reducing inequality. And Sierra Leone, according to BBC News, we are one of the countries that is yet to address the question of inequality. Here is a report from my colleague Hassan Kuroma.
As a way of raising awareness on the high index of inequalities, Oxfam, in partnership with Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, have joined the world over to launch the commitment to reducing inequality index at a ceremony organized at the Initiative for Good Governance Conference Hall on Aberdeen Road in Freetown. The first ever commitment to reducing inequality index regional report that was launched in 2017 focuses on public spending, taxation and labor markets as the three important pillars, ranking African governments as the least committed to reduce inequalities in the continent. According to several reports, as the poorest continent, Africa is also one of the most unequal, with some of the most extreme divides between rich and poor, noting that inequalities is at a crisis level in West Africa. Going through a press release, Nuruddin, the influencing coordinator at Oxfam, said the importance of the gathering is to raise awareness after conducting surveys from over 157 countries, rounding up the relevance of fighting to reducing inequalities and at the same time reducing poverty, emphasizing that inequalities and poverty are intertwined.
Inequality is at crisis level in Sierra Leone, yet the government is less committed to reducing inequality than the rest of the continent, based on the studies. While a small but growing group becomes fantastically rich, a clear majority of the country's citizens are denied the most essential elements of dignified life, like access to quality education, health care, and decent jobs. This index reveals that Sierra Leone government is exacerbating inequality by underfunding public services, such as health, care, and education. It also shows that Sierra Leone government is underfunding the agriculture sector on the one hand, while undertaxing corporations and the wealthy, and failing to clamp down on tax evasion, tax avoidance, and corruption on the other.
Presenting a 5-minute documentary on different statistics of survey done by Oxfam, Charles Lahai, the chairman of Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, puts to light that Goal 10 of the Sustainable Development Goal talks about reducing inequalities across the world, noting that it compels governments and countries to strongly fight inequalities. Senegal and Sierra Leone, he disclosed, are making progress in fulfilling the global commitment.
Is to see West Africa emerge as the most equal region in Africa by 2030. And in that light, it is expected that ECOWAS will play a leading role to serve as an example to the rest of the continent and the world that inequality can be curbed only when governments are committed. For our own purpose, we are partnering with Oxfam, and therefore the specific objectives and activities will ring around supporting Oxfam's country change goal as well as MISA's strategic focus to address inequalities in Sierra Leone for improved access and quality essential services in education and other areas that has to do with poor and marginalized communities.
Kalilu Tutange, the chairman, National Council of Civic Education and Development, elaborates on their strives to combat the societal menace by inaugurating the Open Government Partnership as a pillar that seeks to engage citizens on government issues and implored government to be more transparent and accountable with a view of creating policies for development. Importantly, the chairman underscored the importance of the issue of land rights and women's access to land for agricultural purposes.
In a way, engage citizens around the issues of governance of their country and to also engage government, to encourage government to be more transparent and accountable with the view of creating holistic development for society. That's why my institution, the National Council for Civic Education, has another key component to which is development, and I like to stress on that issue very much.
With the high rates of inequality, one would suggest that radically increasing the commitment to reduce inequality, the crisis is likely to worsen. As per reports, Cape Verde, Mauritania, and Senegal are the three most West African countries to reducing inequality, and on the other hand, the least committed West African countries to reducing inequality are Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Niger. For Star News in Freetown, Hassan Kouma reporting.
Thank you so much, Hassan Kurma, for putting that report together. In the studio, I have Nene Tunis, Executive Director for Keeping Hope Alive, an organization that is geared towards addressing the challenges associated with deforestation. George Spilsbury Williams is the Director of Communication at the Rokel Commercial Bank. Is here to actually talk on why they partner with Keeping Hope Alive in addressing some of these upcoming challenges. Also here is Edmond Nuni. Edmond Nuni is the Executive Officer for Track Build. Track Build is a business entrepreneurship that provides clear insight for better infrastructure, offering services that are most relevant for companies, NGOs, and government. Of course, Mohamed Lamanaba from the Ministry of Information and Communication. Before I come to all of you, Mohamed, a very quick one. Yesterday, it's a clear secret now that one of yours, the former chairman for the National Telecommunication Commission, Prince Alex Harden, was given the door out of that particular company. He was sacked. To put it straight, he was sacked by His Excellency the President. But in the press release, what came surprising is that no reason was given as to why he was relieved of his duty. And that particular news has created a kind of mixed feeling among supporters of the Sierra Leone People's Party. From the government perspective, what's your view?
Thank you. First off, it is the prerogative of the President to hire and fire, appointees, as and when he deems it fit, and of course Section 56 is clear on that from the 1991 Constitution. If at some point he thinks that he actually need to employ the service of another specialist in that particular area, so be it. I think nobody should really question the decision of the President.
I'm not sure anybody is questioning the decision of the President.
There was no
but
reason.
when he was appointed on the basis of competence.
Sure.
And it was made clear. Now that he was relieved, nothing was given as to what the reasons are.
Yeah, even when he was appointed, no reason was given. The press release clearly stated that it has pleased the President to appoint, Dr. Prince Harden.
And it has pleased Inequality to relieve.
Sure, that is it. So, if you take a look at, Dr. Alex Prince Harden, you want to come to the realization that it is not really as a result of his ineptitude or lack of competence that he was actually relieved from his duty, you understand, because he has served as former minister. He's a man of great pedigree, former minister of transport at some point, former minister of mines, and of course he has been a Dohan, lecturer at the University of Sierra Leone for College, and of course most recently he has served as the chairman and leader of the Sierra Leone People's Party. So, having gathered such a huge experience along his career, one really don't want to believe that indeed he was sacked because of incompetence, you understand. So, the President has a mandate, you understand. If at this particular point, you never know, probably, in few weeks from now, you will actually see another appointment, for him. Probably the President wants him somewhere. So we just, yes, indeed, it is natural that the speculations will be everywhere regarding why really at this particular time, the President had to relieve Prince Harden off from his duties as a commissioner, at the director and commissioner at the National Telecommunications. Dr. Mohamed Alhaji Fuad Sharif also is a very high-profile civil servant.
Before you come to Mohamed Sharif, This came against the backdrop of the ensuing and disturbing circumstances in the township of Bro,
Yeah,
where the SLPP supporters got a hard confrontation among themselves.
yeah, we as a government and a political party, we actually, to claim responsibility of what happened. We condemn it. We issued a press release as a political party, and of course the police is currently investigating that particular matter. So the reason why it is really, not proper for anybody to actually predicate the decision of the president on what's happening in Bo is that there has never been any conclusive investigation yet. So there will have been no way the president will have predicated the sacking of Prince Adin on what happened in Bo until such a time when the investigation
Maybe
will actually come out.
maybe the president would have previewed in secret the decision already, the conclusion of that particular
Well, that is not the case, really. You said maybe.
I am assuming until proven
that is
otherwise.
not, I'm saying that is not the case, understand? So until then, for now, what is important for us as a government, the president has, taken his decision, and of course it is his prerogative.
So the
We are
government,
looking
the government
forward-
moves without Prince Adin.
No, but you never know. Probably his services could be actually employed somewhere else in the next week or so.
This could be a way of calming him down.
No, but when Ali Kaba was relieved of his duty, Ali Kaba is fine, you understand, and of course replaced, reshuffled, and of course he's now the permanent rep for Sierra Leone at the UN.
That's a
in
different
America.
circumstance.
Of course, Prince Harden is still the chairman and leader of the party. You never can tell what tomorrow will bring
Will it
for
be a
him.
situation where one could say concentrates on your leadership and chairmanship of the party rather than embroiling himself into the
That is not really the case. If that was the case, the president wouldn't have actually appointed him in the first place.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mohamed Lamaraba. Let me come over to Nene Tunis, the executive director for Keeping Hope Alive, and Mr. George Spilsbury Williams. Mr. Williams, we saw over the weekend where the management of Rokel Commercial Bank, are you with me? Rokel Commercial Bank partnered with Hope Alive in a tree planting exercise at the township of Mashaka. The question that readily comes to mind is why the focus of the bank in the quest of afforestation?
Well, first of all, good morning, viewers. And if you look at the nature and the essence of Rokel Commercial Bank, you look at the history, you would find out that we have gone through some challenges in the past, and we have come out as an institution that has been resilient, and we have emerged to be strong and a very, very driving force in the banking industry. Having said that, we also take great pride in looking out for, opportunities to support good incentives or good initiatives, that would help the country to progress. And so when we received a request from Keeping Up Alive, which is run by one of our customers, and we take great care to know the quality of customers and what we can do to develop one another, we are very much excited, because a lot of members of the organization, that is Rokel, are very much interested in producing things from the ground. And we also saw that this could be an opportunity to support a customer, support the nation, and also actualize some of our own innate passions. And so, looking for and identifying a suitable destination, which was largely due to our efforts, we were able also to team up with the authorities at Mashaka, which is another prominent spot in terms of tourism, ecotourism, and other things waiting to be exploited and developed. And we saw all of this coming together in what we decided to do in the tree planting exercise.
Okay, I'm going to put forward a question to you that I'm sure that will precipitate the reaction of the government spokesperson here, Mohamed Lamaraba, to actually react that the government is not doing enough in the area of afforestation. We've seen a huge destruction of forests, the forest cover over the years, for which little has been done to ensure that the quest for afforestation is being ensured by either through the EPA or the line ministry actually responsible. And your organization, Keeping Hope Alive, yes, the government is not doing enough to actually do afforestation, Mohammed. We're looking at Miss Sol killing. Keeping Hope Alive is doing all its best to ensure that you undertake this key exercise in partnership with the bank. What drives your interest or motivation in this?
Well, the situation in the country and the world as a whole. Climate change issues are not unique to Sierra Leone. Whatever happens here impacts on the whole world and vice versa. So it is key that we join the campaign, which is what we're doing. And hence we're soliciting help from institutions like the bank, or Rokel Commercial Bank in particular. And in terms of the government, what we are doing is to complement the efforts of the government and of EPA. That is our role, and that's what we've focused on. I'm sure that this exercise has generated, we've seen evidence of that already, and we do get technical help from the relevant departments in the ministry and other individuals out who are assisting us, because we do need the technical expertise in order to be able to implement this activity.
The exercise,
more to come.
the exercise at Mashaka in partnership with the Commercial Bank should not be seen as a one-off. So how do you intend to move along with this campaign, advocacy, and ensuring that you attract more attention, maybe especially with the EPA that's responsible for environmental protection, to carry out with your activities?
Well, as you rightly indicate, I mean, sustainability is key, and Rokel Commercial Bank have committed themselves to help us progress with that particular project, and a few others that would complement that. In regards to EPA, I mean, you heard the director, Mr. Ba, he publicly stated that they would work with us. So I'm sure he's going to stand on that promise, and we would, hopefully we would be in talks in the very near future and take it from there. But we're also encouraging other institutions and even individuals who want to embark on tree planting, because we're interested in schools. We have a few of those programs lined up. We did actually do our very first school program with Nelson Mandela Community School in Waterloo, which is just next door to one of our nurseries. And that was a key success. That was a milestone because of the impact, or the potential impact, in terms of educating these kids, because they are the grassroots. This is where it starts. So that's where we're taking it. We're taking a holistic view of the whole climate change issue in terms of how we address it. And tree planting is one of the key activities or interventions which we have identified or capacitated at this point in order to mitigate that.
Okay, quickly, Mr. Williams, could this be the niche of the bank where you get involved with some productive undertakings over time, while other people are talking of financial inclusion and raising financial awareness? Why this direction?
Well, as we said, there is also this interest in the development or contribution to whatever can be done to complement the efforts of other stakeholders in terms of climate change. We must not forget that. And again, as I've mentioned, a lot of members of the organization have innate passions when it comes to planting, agriculture, and things like that. And so, as she herself has said, we are committed to taking this to other levels. I would not wish to divulge some of these at this point in time in order to maintain our status as trailblazers and trendsetters.
Great. Okay, I don't know, before I come to Edmond Nuni, the executive officer for Track Build, I don't know whether you have a reaction with my pronouncement that the government don't seem to be doing enough to address the challenges, the upcoming challenges of deforestation.
Well, the issue of deforestation, of course, you and I will attest to the fact that it has been, a very huge challenge. We inherited, that particular challenge as a government. But when we took over governance, we have actually made some tremendous strides in ensuring that in as much as we first of all, of course, there was a ban on the timber production. You know that exportation also. It was recent as I think last year that we actually lifted the ban on timber exports. You understand? The Ministry of Agriculture at some point in time.
Will this administration be in reference to whenever? Any time you talk to one, they will tell you inherited. Will you be in reference to whenever?
Our actions prove otherwise, you understand? But that is not to say, you will not reference, what you inherited, because you have to.
The primary consideration. How are you tackling the challenge?
Fine, we have done enormous, you understand, in that particular regard. First of all, if you look at how the economy is going at the moment, if you look at our measures, the fiscal management policies we put in place as a government to ensure that we block leakages, to enable us, carry out developmental activities, we have done enormous locally. That most of those things that we've been doing, the funds are generated locally. You understand? So in the area of us doing the same thing or referencing, us referencing does not necessarily mean we are not moving on as a county. We have moved on. The president has done tremendous things. You understand? Look at the free education. We have allocated 21% of our GDP. Mm-hmm. Look at the corporation on tax. You understand? 35% of the total tax we are generating goes to servicing local debt. You don't want us to reference that?
Are always reflective on the economic livelihood of the ordinary man?
That also was another challenge. That's why you understand. You don't give what you don't have. But initially, when we took over, what we did as a government was to first of all took off the some of the economic bodies from parents. You understand? Like the free education. You're not going to, if you're having 4 kids at home, you are paying 200,000 per kid, 600,000 per term. Government took all of those economic burdens, so you have to take those monies and actually feed the family. You look at free education. We got 5 forms to university entrance form.
Honestly, we'll come back to
I'm coming. These were steps. These were steps. But in the area of the deforestation, we are committed as a government to ensure that when once you cut one tree, you plant another. And of course, that project was launched last year by the minister and his deputy across the county. And of course, very solid policies are also being implemented to ensure that we regulate the activities of deforestation.
Okay. Well, I must just say the quest for the government to generate revenue for this current administration is given a leverage to people that are involved in timber business to do their activities unfettered.
But that's why
it's causing a huge damage to the environment.
That's why we apply. In fact, there's a reserve.
Go to Kamakwe and
they are reserved already. That it has been stopped. Our attention was drawn to it. It has been stopped. No more deforestation is going on at that particular time. And of course, there are demarcated areas across the county now where nobody should cut anything.
Okay. Track Your Build is a business entrepreneurship that provides clear insight for better infrastructure, offering services that are most relevant for companies, NGOs, and governments, including Rokel Commercial Bank. With me in the studio now is Edmond Nuni. He's an executive officer. He will be telling me more on the services relevant to the public. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
What's Track Your Build is all about?
Track Your Build is a company that provides information around construction, community and urban management and other areas. Mm-hmm. So how do we do this? We use drones. Our drones are unmanned aerial vehicles that fly, and we use these drones to take pictures and make measurements of project sites or to make measurements of areas that need monitoring. So we've started this company in 2016, and some of the clients we've worked for have been the UN, the government of Sierra Leone at the time, Iluka Mining Company, several other private sectors. One of the interventions, in fact, that we did was during the 2017 landslide. Mm-hmm. We were called in to go and take aerial surveys of the area where the landslide happened and to give the ONS Situation Room information about how they can respond to the crisis. Following up to that, as they've been doing reconstruction in the area, we've also been mapping for the reconstruction of the Matome area. Mm-hmm. And then also they've been doing tree planting, and in the coming months we'll also be mapping and doing tree count, and to ensure that people are not going back into these areas that have been demarcated as unsafe.
So does your activities has any bearing with the topic under discussion, deforestation?
Yes, it does. We use these drones to map for areas that have been impacted by deforestation or areas where people are doing illegal logging. And we can also, or our maps have been used by other agencies to now do contingency plans around what are the communities that are at risk and how should the built environments or how should the infrastructure for those communities be developed so that they can be protected.
We understand that the power of aerial imagery doesn't come from the data captured, but from the analysis of the data.
Sure.
So, do you partner with the government to ensure how the business of conducting land planning, land distribution, and settlement is being done?
As now,
Are you in partnership with the Ministry of Lands or the Environmental Protection Agency?
as of right now, we're not
You're
in
not?
partnership with
Are
either.
you trying to?
Yes, I think that would be something that we will definitely reach out to various people for and explore.
How do you provide your services?
We can be contacted via our office in King Tom, 11 Bowling Street, or someone can reach out to us on our phone numbers 080555222, or our website is trackyourbuild.com. The agency in government that we do work for is the Office of Presidential Infrastructure Initiatives.
Okay.
So we provided some mapping services for the Juba Bridge, and we're also are supporting them around other GIS and mapping services, including some work that will be on the Lunge Bridge.
Okay. Let me look at a point where one could say you've done a detailed study as to what really precipitated the mudslide at Matome in 2017. Any detailed study?
Well, there was,
because we are still confused as to what really happened. Open to so many suggestions. Is it an earthquake? Is it a mudslide? A flash flood? What's really happened? No government has yet come to the fore to actually tell us. Not even this current administration, for which we have so many talkatives, to tell us that this is exactly what has ensued.
Well, there were several detailed studies done by the UN. We provided the maps for them, and then they did the further analysis. They're not, to be honest, there hasn't been something conclusive to say.
Okay.
This is the specific thing that happened.
Precipitated as event.
Yes, but some of the contributing factors, of course, are climate change, deforestation in the areas, people building in areas where they shouldn't build, that general thrust. But there's no specific, there was this type of event at that particular time, and so this is what happened. But those are all the contributing factors.
Then I see your advocacy campaign becoming worthwhile in what you're undertaking now. How
Absolutely.
Yes, raising the awareness as to how people could avoid shared delicate situations.
I think their services are key to what we're doing. Because during the tree planting,
You may be tempted to partner with this.
Absolutely, if they want to. I think it is vital that we do that because we need like a roadmap of key areas and information as to where the situation is more critical. So we could focus on those initially and then cascade or so I think I'll be very much interested in furthering this conversation and see how much information we can derive from yourselves in terms of your findings of these areas.
Okay, I'll come to it, Mr. Williams, quickly. Elba, there is this joy all over, but with some element of skepticism as to what the government is doing to ensure that they got access to their monies. I understand the gratuities, the pensions and of past government officials has been paid, but there was a ban, a cumulative ban placed on their accounts. Otherwise, call it freezing if you choose to. What is the current situation?
Well, probably the beneficiaries will be in a better position to actually.
No, how will you freeze someone's account then you pay money into this account? How
not all of them. Probably those persons of interest. Probably to the Commission of Inquiry, or maybe for some other crime, but not all of them. Most of them, I would tell you, most of them have received their monies. Sure.
How do you reconcile a challenge?
Most of them
I will imagine my account has been freezed, then you
That's
pay,
why-
you pay
that's why-
money to
that-
my account. How would I access it?
That's what I'm saying. It's except for those that were persons of interest,
So are you
probably to the Commission of Inquiry or those people that are not in county. But I will tell you authoritatively that majority of those or former government officials have received their benefits.
So the question is, how has the proceeding from the Commission of Inquiry got to do with someone's account?
Well, it depends on the nature. It depends on the nature. Probably even anti-corruption commission can issue out, such ban on the individuals. Understand? It depends on the nature. If you are
Implicitly, you've already judged before the conclusion of the matter.
no, these are measures put in place to ensure one, if at all.
They are pretty much arbitrary.
No, not arbitrary. Of course, globally, it's happened. Globally, it happens. When once you are a person of interest, they place a temporary ban on your assets and, of course, on your finances and all of that until investigations are concluded. Other than that, if you're a person of interest, you go and withdraw all your money, and of course, it cannot be traced. So that is that. But I will tell you authoritatively, even as at yesterday, I was with one ex-minister who was really, really happy, and of course, who told me that he has received his money.
So
You
he
understand? And
wasn't
including
a-
the ex-president.
Mm.
I will tell you that authoritatively, the monies have been paid to their individual accounts.
And former President Kuruma is a person of interest. In
Well,
your view.
yeah, sure, because no.
So how will he access his account?
No, I'm coming. The president was actually invited to the Commission of Inquiry because on that particular day, testimonies were going to be made on issues hovering around, his presidency at the time, especially with the sale of the 30% share of Sierra Leone at Solar time. But he did not turn up. And of course, somebody represented him. You understand? But I will tell you authoritatively that he has received this money. You understand? Now, what that shows, from our perspective is that, let me tell you this, gone are the days when we actually politicize everything we do in this country. When Tijan Kaba, was, when Anas Nkrumah won the elections in 2007, you understand? I will tell you, most of our government appointees, especially those in the diaspora that are recalled from their duties overseas back home, they never received their pensions, they never received gratuity or benefit from the APC administration. But for us as a government, the reason why it took a year, it was because of the
Well, the idea so we don't have any APC representative to actually qualify that particular statement.
Sure, you go now and talk to Sori Fofana, who was the press attaché in London at the time. Until now, he has never received a dime as a result of his benefit. Never. In fact, it was even published on Global Times. You understand? So, we need to actually, we need to actually change the narrative. That's why, as a government, we are committed to ensure. I will tell you that did not go down well with several people because, the startling revelations from the Commission of Inquiry, the 16 billion recovered so far from past government officials, they are actually not of the opinion that 33.4 billion could have been used for other developmental activities. But as a government, we think it's their right. They have worked for it, and we're supposed to give them their benefits. Understand? And we hope that even in the future, other government,
in the views of many people now,
any other government that actually takes over governance in this country will actually continue this particular narrative by paying individuals that have served this country their pension and benefit.
Okay.
We are working as a government tremendously in ensuring that we pay the remaining 50%.
Okay. In the views of many people, it's like the SLPP administration is having a period of mature reflection, coming to their senses. Let me.
Well, whatever you put it, but we promise the people new
Come
direction.
to Mr. William.
We promise the people new direction, and that is exactly what we are providing.
Well, that is it. The new direction is going with where you question these old beliefs to form a new opinion, having a period of mature reflection. Mr. Williams, how is the bank doing in terms of understanding your position within the banking sector? Because I speak on the 15th of this month, a team of assessors will come in country to assess on the mutual evaluation from the technical and legal points, especially so looking at the fight against money laundering. I'm aware that your institution is going to be assessed. How prepared are you guys?
Well, we have always tried to conform to policies and regulations and rules as far as KYC and other procedures dealing with money laundering are concerned. And so we are pretty much at ease. Of course, with such things, it's a matter of continuous improvement, continuous monitoring, continuous checking and rechecking to ensure that, all the necessary steps have been taken, and we have our own internal, regulatory and monetary devices to constantly check and see that things are in place. So that's the best anyone can do, and we are doing that.
Is Rokel Commercial Bank one of the profit-making banks in this country?
Definitely, yes.
This has been demonstrated at the end of the AGM, where your annual turnover seemed to be pretty much impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Edmond, how do you hope to ensure that people come to know more about your services being provided? Because it's like you guys are operating in a rather closed form. So many people don't seem to know what you guys are doing, and that you're doing pretty much important job in this country. How do you hope to enhance? Thankfully, though, there's a government official here at the end of this program that you will want to talk to him to see how you can deepen the relationship for the government to see how they can come in to ensure that there are other areas. You go to Kobe, you go to Susan's Bay. These are delicate areas for settlement. How do you hope to partner with government?
Well, we're looking to engage with government. We're already engaging with the Office of Presidential Infrastructure Initiatives. They have many projects across the country where we have an action plan right now for the rest of the year to deploy. It would be good to start the conversation with EPA or National Protected Area Authority to see how we can help in that area. We've had several conversations with the Road Maintenance Fund, and hopefully before the end of this year we'll be doing something with them. In terms of our outreach, this year in particular we've tried to be more proactive. On the 31st of May we held a event at the Radisson Blu called Infracon. That was a symposium to bring together the Sierra Leone Institute of Engineers, other engineering companies, and other people interested in the sector to talk about the industry and to also have a exhibition. So other companies within the conference hall were able to exhibit their services. There were 6 panels. The Office of Presidential Infrastructure attended, the Mayor's Office attended, Sierra Leone Institute of Engineers attended. So it was a day where we were able to talk about different topics hovering around urban planning, construction in Sierra Leone, use of new tools.
But perhaps the curious mind may want to know whether you have experienced specialists to analyze image, identify anomalies, and also georeference areas of future interest.
Yeah, we have.
Do you have the capability?
Yes, we have this capability. I actually just came from France 2 weeks ago, where we just finished a 6-month training with Airbus, which is one of the global leaders in airplane manufacturing. So there's Airbus and there's Boeing. So Airbus had a program where they invited 10 of the leading aerospace companies in Africa to embark on this training, to gain these skills, and also to look at different areas where you can upscale what you do in your country.
Okay. Mene, we don't seem to be having much time left. Immediately after this exercise at Mile Checker, what next for your organization, keeping hope alive?
Well, I'm hoping to, actually looking forward to a partnership with agriculture, with MAF, the forestry team. They have a project coming up, and I'll be pleased to say Mrs. Samba, who represented the ministry on that tree planting day, actually confirmed that we will be partnering. So I am actually looking forward with that. But that aside, we have other projects, because we have our women groups in Tonkolili, we have in Waterloo. So all of these are other projects that we can actually try to actualize on a small scale.
Is it inclusive of capacity building for these women?
Yes, it is. It is. We look at marginalized women and we try to empower them. Yes, we give them aid, we give them relief, but it's not really part of the developmental process, so we don't focus on that. So the whole point is to get them working, get them in employment, build their capacity through training and, just income generation. So that's what we're doing. Let's take an instance at Mashikapo. We've already planted the seedlings, which are going to form trees. So in between, that's where our agroforestry kicks in, because we're going to plant cash crops, and that will generate income in the meantime. Every 3-4 months, they have something coming in, just to build their livelihood towards a sustained living. So that's what we're about. So we're looking forward to transporting this model across the country.
Any call to the government for more enhancement?
Absolutely. We're appealing to the government because the government talks about the public and private partnership. So this is an opportunity for us to work together and actually make something out of it and actualize our goals, because we do have similar goals, or we're working towards the same goals in terms of mitigating climate change and track and build.
Track and
yes, I'm looking forward to engaging with you as well. So there's a lot we can do, there's a lot we can achieve. We have the expertise, we have our ethical values which we uphold, and we definitely do deliver, as you can see.
Yes, Mr. Williams, I don't wish to give you a last word, but I hope to have you back in the studio. Your final remark.
Well, we continue as Rokel Commercial Bank to try to make a difference and create opportunities. Creating opportunities will help to grow locals, and in the process will help to grow businesses which we identify with and hopefully bring in more profits.
As a potential member of the banking population sits at here, perhaps you may lure him into becoming a member.
I'm going to engage definitely after this program.
Yes, Leone, what's going to be a pleasure about?
In terms of I didn't mention our direct community engagement.
Okay.
So we currently do offer land surveys, and we also offer land encroachment studies. So we've been finding out a lot of Sierra Leoneans.
Is it not a duplication from the Ministry of Lands?
Well, people hire us to do that on a private basis.
Okay.
So we found out a lot of our clients who are just ordinary citizens are asking us to do land surveys and land encroachment. That's a huge issue.
Okay.
And definitely with that aerial view, you can see where someone's boundary line is and where someone has intruded.
Great.
So that's and we're also embarking on, so right now we have 2 interns, and this is something that we're very passionate about, bringing in young people and teaching them these skills, having them work with us for a while, and then hopefully absorb them into the company.
What's your background?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Mechanical engineer. Pretty much impressive profession. I'm an art student. Every job pays. The final word.
Yes, regarding the bosses, and of course we want to appeal to the pupils to actually own the bosses. The seats are different.
Wave at that 1,000 some like for.
Well, there must be a cost recovery plan.
Great.
And of course to buy fuel, pay the drivers, and of course also maintenance costs to ensure the sustainability of these buses. The seats we especially requested for customized one, and of course there are these strong rubber like, you understand, it's not like sponge, previous, so you cannot use blade to tear it up, you understand. So we ensure that its durability is assured. And of course, it's also disabled friendly. If you are disabled, of course, you are on your wheel. There is a panel that will be drawn from the entrance, and of course, they ensure that disabled people also utilize the buses. So they are customized, specially made, and of course, we want to ensure that the pupils, take ownership of it, and of course, utilize it properly. There's a policy already, in place to ensure the management of these buses. There are telephone numbers also on it. If you see any driver utilizing those buses, for the wrong, purposes, and of course you can just call on that number to ensure that you report these drivers.
In your view, this justify the need that President Bio is a talk and do president?
Well, so people have actually coined that particular name for
tell him to fix the economy.
Well, the economy, we are on it. You understand? We are fixing the economy. If you look at the, we have ensured that
Let's find another way to talk
to
about
fix
this.
the economy, we have ensured that we want to diversify the economy. If you look at what we are doing now in the fishery sector, you look at what we are doing in the tourism sector, and of course also in the agricultural sector. By next year, we'll start to be producing rice in county, and we are spending close to $2 million on rice subsidy, and nobody that imports rice in this country pay a dime on tax to import rice. So all of these monies, we want to, of course, save them to concentrate those monies in other areas. We have energy challenge, we have water challenge, and of course, the only traditional means we generate revenue in county is through taxation. We want to ensure that we explore other areas, and of course, the mining sector. The president have traveled a lot to ensure that we attract direct foreign investment. You understand? So all of these things, are not short-term measures, but long-term measures, but sustainable to ensure that we turn around the economy.
Mohamed Lamanaba, I want to thank you so much. You're becoming something else.
Thank you.
Is Mohamed Lamanaba a member of the Strategic Communication Unit, Minister of Information and Communication, Edmond Nuni, Tracker Bill, the Executive Officer, Spilsbury Williams, George, the Director of Communication, Okel Commercial Bank, how do you call it? The preferred choice?
The bank of choice.
The bank of choice. Nene Tunis, Keeping Hope Alive, Executive Director, thank you so much. I must say I'm honored having all of you here as my guests in the studio till then. This is how I draw the curtain into this edition of the program. My name is Abdul Rahman Kamal. Have a wonderful day.